Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value hi-fi, home theater, and headphone products. Today, we're getting to the end of the year. This is where we start doing awards. It's awards show season, and today we're talking about DACs. So sit down, grab your cup of coffee, and let's talk about the DAC of the year, and maybe some honorable mentions. If you are new to hi-fi or being an audiophile, the concept of a DAC may seem confusing, and it was for me early on. Really what a DAC is doing is it's taking a digital signal from your computer, streamer, CD player, DVD player, whatever it is. It's taking that digital signal and it's converting it to an analog signal, which then will go into an amplifier or a preamp or an integrated amp. Digital to analog. Most of the music that we consume today is digital. I know there's a lot of people into vinyl, some even into cassettes, but most music is consumed digitally today. So if you're really into digital music, investing in a good DAC is probably a good decision. But you don't always have to spend a lot of money to get a great DAC. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some honorable mentions and the DAC of the year. But first, a word from our sponsor. And remember, you don't have to watch the sponsored content. I have it timestamped. Just skip ahead if you don't want to watch it. Today's sponsor is Kamikoto Knives. Huge thank you to today's sponsor, Kamikoto Knives. These are some good knives. I like to do a little food prep in the office every now and again. These knives are made from real Japanese steel with a lifetime warranty. That's right, lifetime warranty. They come in this beautiful, heavy-duty ash wood box. And they're used by Michelin chefs all over the world. Apparently that's a good chef. This is gonna get real interesting real fast. This thing's ridiculously sharp. Here, hold on. Let's see if I can do it again. Cardboard. Nothing dulls a knife like cardboard. Kamikoto builds upon 800 years of technology and expertise when it comes to making knives. Each knife is meticulously created and hand inspected before it goes out the door to you. You can get a whole bunch of knives from Kamikoto. I have the 3-piece set. Comes with a utility knife, 5 inches long. The slicing knife, 8.5 inches long. And this beauty, the Nakiri 7-inch vegetable knife. Yay. Kamikoto has several special offers going on, including their holiday sale, which gets you $50 off your purchase if you use the code CHEAPAudioMan. So go to kamikoto.com/CheapAudioMan, get $50 off your knife set, and help support the channel. Each blade is crafted using techniques that have been honed and perfected by generations of knifesmiths. It goes through a rigorous 19-step process that takes several years from start to finish to complete. With over 100 years of experience between them, the Kamikoto expert bladesmiths hone and shape raw steel into hardy blades, polishing and sharpening them to excruciating fine detail. Kamikoto uses a single beveled edge, not two bevel, single bevel, which makes them extremely sharp. You can cut through a ribeye like butter. Interestingly enough, you can also cut through butter like butter. To keep them sharp, you can get one of Kamikoto's whetstones, used by many Michelin star chefs. Go to kamikoto.com/CheapAudioMan to get $50 off your purchase. So the runner-up honorable mention here is going to be the Topping E50. The Topping E50 right now is actually $200, which is a really good deal for this DAC because this is a really good DAC. There are a sea of DACs out there. A lot of them sound exactly the same. The thing about this Topping though is it has a full, organic, engaging sound, and it comes with a remote control. And it comes with Bluetooth. So if you're adding a DAC to a vintage receiver, if you're adding a DAC to a preamp that doesn't have a remote control, then the Topping E50 can actually control volume for you. The DAC chip is an ES9068AS DAC chip. Man, that was difficult. The takeaway on this one is that it sounds really good. This sounds full. This sounds like the Topping D 890, I think, SE, which is like a $900 DAC. This is a $200 DAC. I think if you're into measurements, I think this DAC measures well too. But what you're getting is an affordable price, really good sounding DAC, full sounding, organic sounding, analog sounding DAC. On the back, you have the option of balanced outputs. I don't love their choice of balanced output connections. It's a TRS. I know people are going to say, well, TRS is very common in the pro audio. Well, most people aren't into pro audio. You can get a TRS to XLR, I don't know, cable, special cables made up. They have those, they exist if you want to use balanced connections. It does have RCA though, which is what most people are going to have. So the Topping E50 is the runner-up to the DAC of the year. We may have a couple runner-ups to the DAC of the year. It's remarkable. It sounds great. It has a remote control. It has Bluetooth. It has balanced outs. It almost won. Almost won. But congratulations. It's an honor just to be nominated, right? Another honorable mention, this is going to be my budget honorable mention, is the Schiit Modi 3, whatever it is. What you're getting here is a $120 DAC that sounds great, is very analytical, and is going to clean up and give you more music than you're probably accustomed to listening to from the likes of a cell phone or a laptop or your CD player. There's no remote control. There's no variable output. It's simply a DAC in its purest form. And if you're on a budget, I think that the Schiit Modi is a great place to start and maybe end your DAC journey. 120 bucks. Their whole stack, their Modi Magni low-key stack, you get a headphone amp, an EQ, and then the DAC. So it would be DAC, EQ, then headphone amp. That's really a crazy, affordable system when you think about it. So another honorable mention to the Modi. We are moving way up the price range now for another honorable mention, and then I promise we're going to a DAC of the year. The final honorable mention is the Denafrips Ares 2. For a while, this was my reference DAC. This was the DAC that changed my whole paradigm of thinking about how important sources are for the entirety or the overall sound of your system. I kind of thought, well, you just buy speakers. You get really good speakers and then you're done. Maybe the electronics make a marginal difference. When I heard the Denafrips Ares 2, I was blown away. I know, that's so cliche, right? I was shocked. But I was. It was really good. The soundstage increased. Every speaker that I put on that system sounded better. And in a weird way, to where if the speaker was forward, all of a sudden it sounded more mellow. If a speaker was thin, all of a sudden it sounded fuller, right? That doesn't make sense, but that's just what happened. I couldn't say enough about the Denafrips Ares 2. Had no remote, fixed output, so you can't control volume on it, was balanced, and single-ended. Sounds incredible, though. It still sounds incredible. However, I did end up giving it away for the DAC that is going to be named DAC of the Year. Denafrips Ares 2 is great, but I think it comes in around $800 or $900. So it prices itself out for the majority of the people that are getting into this hobby or are on a tight budget. Drum roll, please. And the DAC of the Year is... If you're a fan, if you watch the channel at all, this is not going to be a surprise at all. The DAC of the Year is the Geshelli Labs J2, the AKM version. Whew. When I got this in and listened to it, I was expecting that it's going to be good because I have two of the other J2 DACs, both of which are Sabre editions, and they both sound great. I had high expectations. The backstory on the AKM chips is that I had never heard a DAC that utilized an AKM chipset. I never thought that it was good. All the ones that I listened to I thought were super harsh. I wasn't prepared for what I was going to get. So this one utilizes the AKM 4493 DAC chipset. The one thing about this DAC and I've heard it before in the comments, and I always kind of poo-pooed it because, well, my experience was different. In the comments, a lot of people say it's not the chip, it's how it's implemented. And what I think that means is the analog output stage. And for the first time, I heard an AKM DAC chip that sounded great. Again, very natural. Engaging on the bottom end. Lot of bass presence and impact on this thing. I know, people are going to be like, hey, that doesn't happen. They're ones and zeros. It can't possibly sound different. Well, if it has a different analog output stage, of course it can sound different, right? People say tube amps sound different. People say amps sound different. Well, guess what? The output stage is, well, it's an analog thing. They're taking a signal and they're amplifying it. So this DAC simply sounds amazing. So amazing that I gave away my Denafrips Ares 2 to a patron because I knew I wasn't going to be using it anymore because the J2 is going to be my reference DAC, the AKM version. I still like the Sabre version. Love the Sabre version. Right now, I just like the AKM version a little bit more. $44.93. So let's go over it a little bit. So on the front, there are 2 buttons. Those buttons are used to, well, turn it on and then change the LED. You can change it to different colors. And then change the input. There are 4 lights on the front. This gets a little confusing for me because I never quite know which one is which. But I finally figured out that the optical on the back is when the 2 top ones are lit up. You can get and then you notice there's an optical and coaxial on the front. And, well, that's convenient if you have something that you're plugging in and you can't get to the back. On the back, you have an optional USB input, another coax, another optical, RCA outputs, and balanced outputs, and then the power connector. One thing about the power connector, many of my patrons have gotten linear power supplies, and anecdotally, they've all reported that it makes a difference. So I'll try to link one of these linear power supplies. They're from AliExpress or something, so kind of buyer beware. Everybody that's purchased one, though, from my patrons has gotten one. I'm not affiliated, and I cannot vouch for these sellers, but everyone that's ordered one that I've talked to has gotten one. And they say it just really improves everything across the board. Soundstage, imaging, all the cliche stuff. Oh, instruments, placement in space, all that stuff. So you can improve upon it even more. Frankly, I don't really feel like it needs much improving, but I'm kind of curious because a lot of people that I trust have told me the same thing about the linear power supply. So let's talk about why this thing is DAC of the year. First and foremost, it's affordable. It comes in at $250 if you don't need the USB input. If you do, it's $300. You also have the option of a bunch of different colors and faceplates. Glass on here. You can get a different color. I have a white and a green one from the first Geshelli Labs product I ever reviewed was the J2 in white and green. Love it. Love it. It's right up there on my shelf. I need to put that back into operation. It was incredible back then. And I did a head-to-head with some more expensive DACs. And I think I love Schiit. I love that company. I think the J2 is better than the Bifrost. I think they sound awful similar. The J2 has a bigger soundstage. I haven't heard the brand new. I haven't heard the newest iteration of the Bifrost, but I personally prefer this one. Anyway, it's incredibly affordable. You can get wooden cases, and it's going to be more depending upon, of course, which wood you choose, because wood costs different things. They actually made this custom for me, and I just am over the moon about that. I will treasure this. Very affordable. And price to performance ratio, I don't think you're getting a better DAC for under $1,000. I think the Denafrips Ares 2 may compete with this DAC, but they're different. And they're not different enough that it had me keeping the Ares 2. I think the J2 goes head-to-head with the Ares 2 and frankly beats it in some categories at a third of the price. I've gotten to know the owners of Geshelli Labs over, well, last year and a half, maybe. Sherry and Gino, and Rachel, Jake, Grandpa Joe. It's a family-run business. And the J2 is not winning the DAC of the year because I like their family. I do. I love their family. I consider them to be friends. Part of the reason why the J2 is getting this award is purely, Well, it's purely on price and performance, but it's also on customer service. It's not a huge operation. One of the great things about Geshelli Labs is they make each DAC to order, which means they don't just have a bunch of these sitting on the shelves that they've imported from overseas. Oh yeah, they're made in Florida. That's right, these DACs are made in the US by a small business, right? Come on, let that sink in. Made in the USA, small business, affordable, price to performance, awesome, great customer service, family-run business. Okay, you can just stop, go buy one now. It's easy to like a product when you know the story behind the product. And the fact that it sounds so good makes it very easy. I think and I hope this is the way that the industry is moving, to smaller, more nimble companies that can make changes very quickly. They don't have to get permission from a committee, have to worry about marketing, have to worry about, oh my goodness, does this fit with our branding? They're real people. They're going to answer your emails. They're going to talk to you if you need talking to. That sounds like bad. They're going to talk to you. Now, if you want to talk to them, they will make time to talk to you. I cannot express how much I love this family and this DAC. And it makes it easier to love this DAC and recommend this DAC because I know they're going to follow through with what they say. Talk about a few things that some people may not like about this DAC. First and foremost, the looks, okay? I get it. This isn't for everybody. I get it. Every time I do a video about Geshelli Labs, someone says, oh my God, they're too ugly. A lot of people aren't going to like the looks, but they're different, and I appreciate that they're different and not just making another black box. The other thing that people may not like is it doesn't have a remote control. So there's no variable output, which means you're not going to be able to control volume on this. This is a DAC in its purest form. So is the Denafrips Ares 2. So is the Schiit Bifrost 2. So is the Schiit Modi. All of my favorite DACs, except for the E50, don't have variable outputs. It's simply a DAC. And I didn't plan for it to be that way. It's just that all the DACs that I like are just DACs. Trust me, I wish there was a DAC that sounded like the J2 that did have a remote control, and I would recommend it all day long. The E50 kind of gets close. So looks and remote control, I think that's the only thing people can complain about, or Bluetooth or things like that. But please, just if you want to use Bluetooth, get this. Actually, if you want a remote control, get this. This is a Weem Mini Streamer. You can run an optical out of here into the J2 and then into whatever you want to. And then you can actually control volume right here. It's not the best way because it's digital volume, but you can in a pinch. Incredible product, incredible products. I honestly think that out of the products that I named, I think that's the best of the best for the price range. If you're looking at leveling up your digital music game, then I would take a look at one of these products. And really, the J2. They are not on back order, but they have a backlog. They have a bunch of DACs to make. You can still get in the queue though, and I know that they work really, really hard. They're putting out as many as they can, but the word is out. The J2 is incredible. It's here to stay. If you're getting your first DAC, you can be one and done. So the Geshelli Labs J2 is the DAC of the year in the Meaningless 2022 Cheap Audio Man Awards. So it gets the monkey. It's looking at all the products that are worse than it, saying, I feel bad for you. I'm going to sit in my tree and hang out, maybe eat some bananas, pick some bugs off my buddy and eat them. Anyway, congratulations, Geshelli Labs, for the J2 AKM version, $44.93. $250 if you don't need a USB, $300 if you do. A little bit extra if you want a wooden case. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon. Patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Patreon-only Zooms. Patreon-only Discord. Patreon-only Facebook group. You can also use the links in the description. Click on the link. Those are affiliate links, which means if you click and you buy, I do get a commission, but it doesn't cost you anymore, so it's a great way to support the channel. You can also sign up for Amazon Music, Tidal Music, Rune. Sign up. Even if you quit, I still get a couple of bucks. You can also use the thanks button down at the bottom of this video next to the share button. Buy me a cup of coffee or two, but please don't feel compelled to buy me anything. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen through your new DAC of the year, the Geshelli Labs J2, or the Topping E50, or the Schiit Modi 3, whatever, or the Denafrips Ares 2, and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the cheap audio man.